Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cook With Me Live. Thank you very much for being online tonight, and those of you that are watching this after the recording, welcome. Especially if this is your first time on Cook With Me Live, a very warm welcome. And if it isn't your first time on Cook With Me Live, then thank you for coming back. You didn't have to. And also, I do hope that I can teach you guys and hopefully show you some new and exciting things. Maybe you can get to taste some new and exciting things. So as you're logging in, just let me know if you are cooking with me tonight or if you're just watching, and anyone else who might be in the kitchen with you tonight, so I can help cater to the younger ones if that's the case. Tonight, I'm really excited to be showing you the burger boats. Now, sometimes I don't know if the word is teased for the names that I call these recipes, but I figure it's kind of fun. Why would we go to all this effort and not have fun with our food? So I'm kind of that kid in an adult's body that just wants to play with my food, and I actually really encourage you adults to let the kids play with their food as a means of discovery and as a means of getting excited about new flavors, new textures, just what food is. So as we play tonight, I'm going to show you a couple little tricks, ways that you can kind of customize this to your liking. Keep in mind that there are infinite possibilities when it comes to something as open as burger boats. Some people might still be adding a bun to this. You could just be serving it with some really interesting side dishes, completely up to you. But I'm going to show you the key element of these burger boats, which are basically the stuffed mushrooms. And it's so quick, guys. This is a recipe that if you've got a food processor on your bench, I would recommend that you keep your food processor on your bench at all times so it's easier to use. And so if you've got that out already, it's going to take you a couple of seconds to stuff these mushrooms, get them in the oven, make all the other toppings, and then we're going to end up with burger boats. You guys ready to go? So give me a little hello, a little wave. Let me know you are rocking, and we're going to kick start. It is pretty easy. First step, though, is we need to preheat the oven. So if you haven't already done that, let's set that to about 180 degrees Celsius, about 350 degrees Fahrenheit, roughly. You could go a little bit hotter, but it is good to kind of slow cook the mushrooms because mushrooms are quite a high percentage of water, believe it or not. They are 92% water. Isn't that crazy? There's a lot of vegetables actually more percentage of water than even mushrooms. But these are going to shrink a fair bit in the oven. So keep that in mind. We're going to start with sort of this size of a field mushroom. And they are going to shrink down a fair bit, okay? So that's just a bit of a heads up. All right, let's get into it. First step is with your food processor. You do not have to have a whiz bang wow food processor, okay? Any food processor will do. You could even get away with this in a blender, okay? And even an upside down blender. This is a very easy one. There's just two steps that we really want to make sure you get right so that you get the least amount of work involved, okay? So let's jump straight into that one. Now, I understand that some of you might be looking for options for sending things in school lunchboxes. Is that anyone? Let me know. Because if that's the case, then you might be aware that there are nuts in this recipe. So if you wanted to substitute the nuts, you could. Instead of the cashews or the macadamias, you could use some more sunflower seeds. You could use pepitas. Pepitas do have a little bit of a stronger flavor though. So what I'd probably recommend is you stick to the sunflower seeds. And if you can, maybe you include a little bit more of either the chickpeas, the white beans, and or the grated sweet potato. So we're going to get plenty of flavor created through the spices and the other things we're going to add. So these are kind of more the bulking, thickening, sort of hearty bits that we're adding. But it's not a drama if you don't want to add nuts, that's okay. You could add, say for example, 3/4 of a cup of the sunflower seeds, an extra amount of the beans and or this grated sweet potato, okay? So you do not have to use nuts in this. Now, for me though, I absolutely love a little bit of extra richness, especially because we're not going to be having this with a bun. We're not going to be having this in any other sort of form of cheesy decadence or anything like that. So for me, the decadence is coming in the richness of these wonderful, high quality whole food nuts. So let's go about 1/3 of a cup of macadamias. I'm going to go half-half. You do not have to do this. But we want about 2/3 of a cup in total of a cashew or a macadamia. So the reason why I've chosen those is because they are quite easy to really grind down quite smooth. Okay, so they're not going to leave any really crunchy bits in here, which I find is a nice texture for the burgers. Okay, now I've called for 1/2 cup of sunflower, which is 1/3 of a cup plus a little bit. We don't have to be very exact on this one. Okay, and the walnuts. Now, walnuts, pecans, again, if you don't want to add the nuts, just do what we said before. This just adds a nice little extra dimension, I think, to the flavor with the mushrooms. So it just kind of accentuates it. Plus I find that walnuts being extremely good for the brain, it's nice to sneak in a few every now and then. Did you guys know, while I'm on that topic, I kind of want to show you, I'm going to find a good one here. I might want to zoom in on that. What does that look like? If you were to think about body parts, areas of the body, what does that most resemble? I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty confident that that looks quite a bit like a brain. And funny enough, walnuts are really good for the brain. So this is a theorem called the doctrine of signatures. And this doctrine basically says that vegetables, in many cases, the body part that they resemble, that's actually what that food is really good for. So if you were to cut a carrot, I'll show you this one. This one's kind of cool. Well, and also, I'll show you this one. Oh, there's so many I want to show you now. While I'm getting ready, I'm going to run a sink of cold water to wash these veggies with. Now, do I want to ruin a mushroom to show you this one? Who can guess what the mushrooms are good for? What do they resemble? You kind of have to see how it gets cut. I don't want to ruin my stuffing of my mushrooms. So if you can imagine cutting the mushroom this way and then looking at it side on, what would that look like? Okay, mushrooms are apparently good for your ears. Go figure. Okay, and if you cut the carrot this way, let's see if we can do that one. And you look at that nice and close up. What does that resemble? Okay, it looks a little bit like the iris in the eye. And go figure, carrots are good for the eyes. So it's kind of this magical thing, and you can get kids really excited about food this way. So I would recommend you play a little bit of games with the kids as you're trying to kind of educate them, or even yourself, and get a little bit more excited about these real amazing whole foods, knowing that there's this kind of, I call it a magical thing about nature, that how would we have ever thought that it would be good for the thing that it looks like? It's almost like a sign that nature's been trying to send us, and we haven't really figured it out till the 21st century. But anyways, well, no, it was figured out much longer than that, but it's not becoming popular till now. So I was just in go mode there, and I just washed all the mushrooms, so you can do that too if you'd like. We're going to start using their stems for the mixture, but not just yet. So that was just a little bit ahead of myself there while I spoke. So as far as what's in the food processor now, we've got basically all of the nuts. So we've got the cashews, the macadamias, the sunflower seeds, and the walnuts. So let's continue to add the rest of the dry ingredients before we add the mushroom stems or the beans, because we want to make sure that we give it a good blend while it's still all the dry ingredients, and that means they're going to get all equally mixed up, and it's going to create a better texture in the end result. Okay, so from this point we're going to add about a teaspoon of salt. Now, keeping in mind this is going to make a good solid 8 of these burgers. Okay, so a teaspoon of salt's not a heck of a lot. You can reduce if you want. We do want this mixture to taste quite punchy off the start, because it's going to need to carry through your whole burger of otherwise quite fresh ingredients. How's everyone going? All right, I should do some hellos. Welcome, Blair. Thanks for being online. And I need you to tell me how to pronounce your name. I don't want to ruin it. Is it Jachin? I love that. Sharon, welcome. And Cheryl, hello. You're just watching tonight. Very cool. Jill, hello. Renee, hello. And Blair, what did you put in the washing water? Good question. It was just apple cider vinegar. So you can use any white vinegar or apple cider vinegar, just a dash of it, maybe a tablespoon. It just helps to kind of clean the veggies in the water. So yeah, it's just a little trick you can just do. I normally keep a big jug of the white vinegar under the sink, and then anytime I'm running that, you can just put a dash in. And then this is kind of my process for how I work with food prep in the kitchen. Some of you have seen this already. This bowl, that's why I use a big bowl. This bowl is then going to become my rinsing bucket, or my rinsing bowl for all my dirty dishes before I put the dirty dishes in the soapy sink, which will then preserve the suds and mean I don't have to waste as much water changing the sinks over. So it's just a way of, I guess, saving a bit of water and having two uses for one effort. Very cool. Welcome. Oh, welcome, Renee. Thank you. And hello, Lynn. So I'm curious to hear if any of you guys are joining tonight as a result of being in the 21-day Whole Food Your Family Challenge with TWC, with the Whole Food Collective. So let me know, give me a little hurrah, give me a special little TWC hello. If you guys are doing the challenge with me, it just kicked off a couple days ago, so I'm really excited to hear how you're going. And I know what you're in for, and I'm excited for that too. So thanks guys for being online. Okay, so we're up to the salt. Next up, we need to put in some of the wakame flakes. Now, you can use these flakes, you can use no flakes, you can use dulse as well. Dulse is another option. The reason why I'm a big fan of seaweed is because we're going to get quite a wide range of trace minerals from this, okay? And also, it just adds quite a nice flavor preference. So it's not intended to make this taste fishy or seaweedy. It's just going to add a really nice balance to the flavor. So ideally, you won't specifically be able to pick out the flavor of seaweed in this, but that's going to be a pretty good dose into what we're having. You could add a little bit extra if you wanted. So it's just like it looks like a salt and pepper flake, kind of, but that's a nice seaweed flake. Okay, so you don't have to rush out and get this if this is the only ingredient you didn't have, but I really think it's a good thing to have on hand as far as a superfood goes, because I think there's a lot of value in the sea vegetables. So that's one of the sea vegetables. All right, and then some rosemary. Now I've got dried rosemary. If you've got fresh rosemary, you're going to need to add more than 2 teaspoons. So if you've got fresh rosemary, you'd probably be adding, say, 2 big stems worth, but not the woody bit. So you take the stem of rosemary. So if it's vertically, like if you hold it like this and all the stems are a little pointing upwards, you kind of pinch the tip and you just run your fingers over it to peel all the leaves off